Well, hey everyone, this is Scott and Chris again at the Union Podcast. Thanks for joining us. Hey Chris, how's it going?
It's going good. It's weird winter in Texas. It's sunny today. It's gonna freeze next week. So there you go.
Yeah, hot, cold, hot, cold. Yeah, it's a plumber's nightmare.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about all these agents today. I found this web. Someone asked me about, hey, can we create a list of AI agents? Because people ask us about how do you compare with this, that, or the other. So I found this website, AIagentsdirectory.com, and I was floored at the number of agents. There's 804 different agents in here in 45 categories. I don't know what this looked like last month or 2 months ago, and I don't know what it's going to look like in the coming months, right? It will be more, it won't be less. How, how would someone evaluate and procure an agent? Like if I wanted, like, the look at the categories here, there's agent platform, frameworks, productivity, voice, customer service, right? There's
Yeah.
47 customer service agents. How do you pick one?
Yeah. And it that yeah, this when said 2 years ago there will be proliferation of different AI technologies. Okay, it actually happened. Check plus for us. We that John's prediction of that actually happened. And these really are trying to group them by like a task or something a person would do that's interested in a single part of an organization, right? So someone who's coding is looking for agents inside their coding tool. Someone who's maybe looking at order management or looking at, sales orders versus customer service. They're all very point specific. And some of these will naturally come out of platforms like John's mentioned before. The coding platforms have come up with agents that assist in writing code that are very special purpose. That makes sense. But then there's other things that like an employee, like someone in the general part of the company shouldn't have to interact with four different agents that are generic in their nature. Like that's a big burden. We're giving people, they have to know more things to be able to say, okay, okay, which agent do I look for somewhere to find this? It's just like assuming someone could actually find the right SharePoint site. You can always say,
Yeah.
we documented it, but you're right. Now I have four more places, whether they're web pages or icons on your desktop. The human still has to go know what to do and to find the right one. And that is usually only as part of their own technical expertise, the thing they're personally subject matter expert in, right? So I don't want to have three things that a level one support person has to do, and then five different agents for a level two support person, and then a level three person have different ones, right? It's crazy. So we do have to kind of think through. We know agent technology is good. We want to use them, but we need to think through how we deploy them. Are these all atomic tasks? Are we actually going to think about optimizing the business and an outcome?
Yeah, because it's easy to see that people would purchase or subscribe to, however the pricing works, um, to an agent to help them do their job, right?
Yeah.
So the gut reaction, Chat GPT, it helps people write stuff. Okay, that's
Yeah.
great, but that's all it does, right? It just helps you create something out of something else. It's either your own data or corpus, or it's the internet data, and it's
Yeah.
helpful. But in the realm of things, I think that reflex in how everyone has been used to using their own, piece of AI, they don't really they don't take a higher level view to see what is the process across all of the different teams. Because
Yeah.
in some procurement guy, or the CFO ultimately, or the ultimate budget holder, is going to look at like all these subscription or procurement contracts for all these agents, and realize, like, wait a minute, what are we doing? And and he's not going to realize that none of this stuff works together, right?
Right. For sure.
The CIO knows that, hey, this agent only does this, but it doesn't talk to this agent, and this agent doesn't talk. So we've gone from, like you were talking about with John's, prediction. He said, okay, we have all these apps that we use. We're going to have more of these AI agents on top of and in between all of these apps. And clearly that's happening, right? So there's
Oh, for sure.
804 agents listed. Next month, there's going to be 1,000. So what, so going from, and people will, each one of these agents will have varying levels of success, right?
Yeah.
Some will be great, some will fail. There'll be all kind of consolidation. But from today, if I'm a business leader, say like I'm customer support VP and I'm running a call center or whatever, like I would need to, I just glanced at the list and, I could find 12 that you would need.
Easy.
Like
Yeah.
how do you do that? If you need 12 and you have to evaluate 3 different agents for each task, that's 36. Like you couldn't do that in a year. Like
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Well, and that's taking kind of not a good approach because you're actually thinking about tasking level. It's like, oh, just because there's a task level agent for answering warranty questions and then a task level agent to, gather information about a customer and their request doesn't mean you should use it, right? Um, so if you think about like customer support, the interesting thing about that is we know that we've all been to the experience of like my internet's down. So, or I have a question about my internet. So there's always level 1, level 2, level 3 of support. There's always levels because there's different subject matter experts who handle different things. So, in a company, the first level agents, a lot of times just document and gather the
From a
information.
service agent, you're talking.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
the
The
AI
customer service
agent.
agent.
Yeah.
No, the customer service agent. Now, could it be an AI agent? Yeah.
Most
Should
definitely.
it be an AI agent? Probably so. But that first level person, all they're doing is writing everything down. And in the back of your mind, I'm going to repeat this. I know I'm going to repeat this information to another person because they're not going to get it right or they didn't answer their call script. They skipped a question in the call script, things like that. And then it passes to someone, especially when you have those like multi-hour, multi-day service level agreements. It goes to level 2 and they say, okay, is this question about our product and warranty? Is this question about the orders and the payments? Is this, say, maybe a technical question like I need an engineer to do a line test, something that a specialized person do? So what happens a lot of times is we need to step back and say, we don't need 30 agents. So level 1, level 2, and level 3 can task faster. We need to think about, okay, how do I not just create a new bottleneck or push something into the next queue faster? If you're the VP or the head of a call center, you want to think about how do I get the overall process, that outcome optimized? And maybe it is literally that the first level people have an agent to gather the information and that an AI agent could verify that they've got all the right information is their secondary information and then determine, okay, who does this route to? Don't have level 2 being a person that says, oh, these are questions that we answer through an FAQ. These are questions that we answer through accounts payable and looking at and that, but I need to give that to someone else because it's subject matter expert who has access to that data needs to answer it versus a security, driven agent. And then if it's a line test, technically most of those are just an API call to some horrible SCADA software anyways. Like,
Yeah.
could an agent perform that step for you? Right. So how do we think about, we want to actually remove a step in the process to make the overall process better. So that means let's glue it together through, say, conversation and integration and agents and remove bottlenecks and remove a step so it gets faster. But there are multiple subject matter experts for each level. So that makes it complicated, right?
Yeah.
You have to interact with.
Are you removing a step or are you just automating it? Right. It's not a person's task anymore. It's some like AI thing task.
Yeah, we want the tasks, those manual tasks, every time we can remove a human individual task and put it in the software, it still happens, but it's not, say, a queue of work for someone. When we remove people bottlenecks, then the software runs at the speed of, computers.
Yeah, I actually had to, I had to call or, log in to AT&T the other day because when I got back from out of town, the internet was spotty, right? So it's difficult because it is the most difficult customer support because every bill is in my name and that's the one that's in my wife's name. So like I have to remember like, okay, it's her login and and her credit card. So it's difficult for me to authenticate, one. They never understand my question. It's like, hey, I need a test, right? So they'll run it. Well, then they go to a different test and then some guy has to come out and then the guy has to do multiple things, and it took forever for them just to identify who I was. It's really frustrating. It's almost like if I could jump in to all the systems that they were logging into, I could probably solve my own issue, but authenticating me is a nightmare. So with the agents, you were talking about note taking for level 1 and everything. As we move more and more systems where customers can, log in and identify themselves, that step is easier, but then finding stuff is a nightmare, especially with big companies that have multiple systems grown by acquisition. They got 2
Yep.
CRMs or 3 CRMs. It's difficult. So imagine multiple systems, you would have to need multiple agents integrated. Hopefully one agent could integrate to multiple systems, but a lot of times when I'm looking at these, they don't, right? It's just,
Yep.
it's a standalone thing, and you are going to hardwire a nightmare. And if one of those
Yeah.
gets acquired or it fails or whatever, it's not going to be good.
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking about there's interoperability issues of actually having agents not just be a dumb agent and give you hard coded or scripted responses. Is the agent actually doing something? Like, can it actually look up my bill and give me the information? Or can it actually request a line test and give me the results?
Yeah.
And so there's two parts of interoperability. When you think there's one's actual physical, I want the software to be interoperable across multiple parts of the business. The other is each one of those has a different subject matter expert. So if you're doing it all manually, you handshake to a new subject matter expert who has knows information about a specific domain. They're experts in that. So you can't have that as a separate agent, a separate task, because that interoperability across the business process, it's going to kill you trying to integrate all those things together. Something has to orchestrate across the bigger picture. If not, you're just building queues of work that people can do manually or use an agent to do, but you're not actually trying to skip a part of the queue or optimize the workflows across those subject matter experts.
Yeah.
Interoperability is a hard issue.
Yeah, and it's gonna take. I think people like a lot of these agents. If you can purchase the service with a credit card and it's $20 a month, like you can get away with buying your own agent, but
Yep.
you'll run into a problem, later on with all the workflow. Like I can probably just automate my own job away, but then that doesn't really help the business, right? So I'm basically
Yep.
spending money for no cause, and it'll roll up somewhere. Like somebody at some point in time, they're like, wait a minute, why do we have all these agents and nothing operates faster, right? It
Mhm.
just operates a little bit quicker for one person because he was smart enough to automate his job away. So hopefully that doesn't happen. So what I mean, an approach. If I'm we'll stick with the VP of customer support because I think everyone has by now dozens of subscriptions on your iPhone and your Apple ID and Google Play.
Yep.
Um, what what is a person like that when if you if you take a higher level view, what do they need to do? And then how, like, what is a practical approach to buy and integrate multiple agents?
Yeah. So of course you're going to hear that there's classic agents built in software, and then they're talking about agentic platforms, and quite honestly, right, that's a lot of marketing whitewashing right now because it's so new. But like with Krista, we purpose built a platform to communicate with people,
And by the way, we're
systems,
calling it an agentic platform, so don't talk bad about agentic platform.
AI. Yeah. Yeah, but so if you look at the original purpose, like 4 years ago, it is the orchestration of people, systems, and AI. And so now when we were originally doing AI, we no generative AI was in place. It was literally categorizers, predictors, like calculating numbers, anomaly detection. So we said the problem to be solved is you need the work to span multiple parts of the organization or multiple subject matter experts, and actually, how can we automate away some of those things? Like, can we remove those things? Well, that is all still very valid today. Now, we may have new AI technologies to plug in, something, other than it's like predicting a number or categorizing something as a yes or a no or percentage discount, things like that. But that just because there's new things like generative AI, which people like think is cool and understand, doesn't mean it can't be part of a larger orchestrated process. So you want a platform that supports multiple types of AI. So is it, say, answering questions about your internal policies or answering questions about warranties? So we call that Q&A, and we can leverage different, we have our own retrieval augmented generation, which is the hard part to solve. Then we can leverage different LLMs because Claude or, Gemini or OpenAI has a different skill and they're better. So you want a platform that has some hardcore capabilities, workflow, interaction with people, systems, some core AI in it. Like we have retrieval augmented generation, we have predictors, we have categorizers, but then you want to integrate with third parties because those things are changing all the time. And we've talked about that on podcasts that the skills of an LLM will change over time. Someone will get faster, better, cheaper. So your platform can't say, we've solved a problem and we use a single technology, because then you're locked into that technology. You need to be able to
Yeah.
say, next year when Claude gets better, I'm going to use that. When Gemini is cheaper and it gives me just as good a result, I'm going to move to that. So the platform has to have some capabilities of integration, has to be able to include people, has to have some core AI in it, but it needs to realize that certain AIs you want to leverage because they are evolving, and you don't want to miss out on getting new features and things.
Yeah. Yeah, the innovation happens so fast that, I mean, can you imagine the interchanging one agent for another? Well, you buy it, you
Yeah.
use it for a month, and you're like, oh wow, I found a better one because they use a different LLM. Like,
Yeah. You're never going to do
it'd be a
that.
nightmare.
Yeah. And
Um,
so you need to have some things that are plug and play with different AI technologies, some things that are core to your platform, and we will have something new. Like we 2 years ago when we started talking about generative AI, we're like, wow, it wrote sentences, it hallucinated a lot, but it is getting a sentence and paragraph first. Now we don't. Okay, yeah, that's great. Now we're talking about, can it give me multiple paragraphs, and is it doing reasoning? Is it actually reasoning that things are similar, or like we were able to ask now, like the total cost of insurance, the reasoning is something very new in an LLM to say, well, it's your monthly cost plus your annual deductible. That's actually your cost. So we're not even talking about what they did 2 years ago. We're talking about what are the latest capabilities, and is it interesting or is it production worthy? Can I actually use this whole new thing of reasoning? So
yeah,
I have no idea. Something interesting like that's going to happen before the end of the year. I guarantee it. We're going to have
yeah.
some new enhancement that we're like, how do we apply that to solve the problem?
All right. Yeah. I can think of a lot of different podcasts that we've covered. Just by listening to you, I'm thinking of the titles of, your AI must do something. We talked about the RAG, which is
Mhm.
huge. and then all the integration work. But if you're not on top of that, and we didn't talk about security, privacy, data, all that. I mean, all of that
Yeah.
matters, and you're just going to compound the problems if you start chasing all these agents everywhere and trying to figure out, I need an agent for this, that, and the other. It's going to make your life worse, right?
Yeah.
So the
You
platform approach, I mean, by default, right, that's what we do, right? So we think that is the better approach. But as you look into it, and John the other day talked about the level of compute that we're doing now versus what was available only 2 or 3 years ago. It was cost
Mhm.
prohibitive 2 or 3 years ago, and
Yeah.
just the chip speeds and the compute costs have come down. That the innovation accelerates. There's going to be more and more of these agents as compute gets cheaper.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, they can't be disconnected, they can't be just a task. We need to have the interoperability. And how do we, like in the platform, you mentioned security is important, scalability, and actually have that multi-step process.
Yeah.
Because really, the value of the platform is you get to step back and say, I have a multi-step process, I have multiple subject matter experts. I want them all working together to solve the problem. And sometimes that's removing steps so that AI does it on your behalf. Other times it's like realizing, hey, there's actually a solution that didn't exist.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to go to the manuals and need control F and find something. We can ask a question about the manual and get a good solid answer back, right? So we are changing the way we're working because we're applying technology to it.
Yeah, yeah. Great, Chris. I think we have killed this one so far. If you're looking at agents, yeah, please look at agents, and then please
Yep.
compare them to an approach that you could, basically build autonomous workflows with Krista, right? So we'll
Mhm.
make the work go faster and take care of all the hard work for you. So do go evaluate agents and then tell us what you learned. All right. Thanks so much. Until next time.